no SWAT unit there, so we're going to have to go looking for it. Where are we? Is there any on the list? Okay, so I can't. There we are, right at the bottom. So that took me a little bit of time to go and find. So what we've got on the left-hand side are some coloured buttons. If you don't have alarm and response regulation set up, you won't have these buttons. So what you have, or basically I have, is two setups. You have a top row, which is the where it says 1 pump, 2 pump, 3 pump, 4 pump. That basically allows me to deploy a type of unit to a mission if I know what the requirements are. So things that are just sort of 1 pump fires, I can just hit 1 pump and hit dispatch. If I wanted to send, say, 3 pumps and a fire officer, I could just hit 3 pumps, fire officer, dispatch. I won't have to worry about which ones I'm selecting on the right hand side, because it'll basically do it for me. I'll quickly show you what happens. So if I wanted a 2 ambulance, it ticks the 2 nearest ambulances, one of them being the air ambulance. If I wanted a pump, it'd send the next pump. If I wanted that water carrier, I'd hit that, and as you can see, it's ticked it there. So essentially it speeds that process up, and I find that quite a lot easier when I'm on my phone, because I can literally just press that button, and it does work on your phone. So as you can see, I've pretty much got that set up for each individual unit, and those where I might send more than one of those units, I've set it up to have more, so 2 police cars, 2 ambulances, 1, 2, 3, 4 pumps. I had that as my only alarm and response regs until quite recently, and what I found was I was dealing with a lot of large missions. So as you can see, I've got 3 building collapses at the very top, a residential fire, burning machine. So I seem to get a lot of big missions, and I found that I'd have to try and remember what is required for those missions and then go and click them. So although I've saved time, I'm still clicking a lot of buttons. So each mission has a list essentially of what's required. So burning machine, you hit details, and it'll tell you that you need 3 fire trucks, 1 heavy rescue, 1 fire chief, 1 water tanker. And what you can do is you can then build an alarm and response reg that completely covers that call. So if I wanted to do a building collapse, I could hit the building collapse button at the top of the second column there under the general tab, and that would literally send all the required units. Now what you'll see is next to this at the moment there is a red X, and what that's telling me is, okay, you've asked for these particular units, but you don't have those particular units. So there's something we're not going to be able to send because we simply don't have enough. So bear with me 1 minute. There we go. So okay, my window's freezing up. Won't be a second. Let's try again. Let's restart it. There we go. Don't know what's going on there. It wouldn't let me do anything with the screen. So there you go. That's better. But what, I think it won't let me pop up the box for some reason. But effectively, it will come up with a little pop-up box saying you lack the following unit. So it could be platform truck, and therefore you have to bear in mind that it will tick all the boxes for everything else. It just won't send the platform truck. So you'll have to remember to go back to that mission or set up sending it from another mission once it's done. So that can be done. So that's what it looks like. That's what it does. How do you set them up? Okay, so under profile, you've got alarm and response regulations here. You click this up, brings up a window. As you can see from seeing those two lists, I have them in here. So basically what is on the button is in the name column down the left hand side. The order in these is, I think, alphabetical. Don't quote me on it. I think it is, looks alphabetical. So they don't match the order that they are on the screen. To create a new one, you hit the green box at the top right. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say a raging fire. I'm going to make this up, okay? So you could see that we can set the colour to the button, so any colour you want. So I usually set it to red, but we'll give it a nice pink colour. You've then got columns, so there are 6 columns. What I found is if you can't fit 6 columns on your resolution, then it will basically push them down. So I try not to use more than 3 or 4 columns. But what we'll do is we'll put it on number 1. You'll also notice that on that screen that we were on, I had buttons at the top and buttons at the bottom. So the buttons at the top are not under a category. The buttons at the bottom are. And this is again entirely up to you. Obviously, if you put it into multiple categories, so more than one, they appear as tabs. So where it said general at the top, you'll have firefighting, ambulance and police if you put a button in each. I try to keep it all on one page, because otherwise what I'd have to do is I'd have to then go and find where the mission is under each tab. So I kept it under general just so that they're separated from the top ones, but I'm not again having to change many pages. We won't put it under one at the moment. So with this you can say, actually I don't want you to send any particular vehicle. I want you to send one from a particular fire station or a particular police station. So you could say, oh, I only want a unit to deploy out of Maidstone's USAR. You can set a hotkey. I haven't actually set these up before because I just can't see myself using them, but you can effectively set it up so I think Alt and Shift or Alt and whatever button you choose will do that for you, but you still have to take your hands off the keyboard, then go onto the mouse to hit dispatch. There's no shortcut there. And then you've got a list of all the units in game and what you can do with those. So this is where you basically say, raging fire, I want 4 fire trucks, 2 fire chiefs, 1 mobile command, 2 platforms, 2 ambulances, 2 heavy rescue, a water tanker, 2 mobile air, 333 utility trucks, etc, etc, and a SWAT unit. And then you hit save. So that then gets added to the list, so that'll be in there somewhere as raging fire. So now when we go to a mission, you'll see a pink button. Here it is at the top, raging fire. So we can click that. Okay, this pop-up doesn't like working when I'm streaming for some reason. But when you click that button, it will come up with what's missing, and if not, it will tick the relevant boxes to send. So see if I can show you it working on this one. So on here, it's saying it needs a platform truck. Well, that's called an ALP in my language. So I hit the ALP. I can't see where it is because it's ticked it on the right hand side. I just know that it selected it because at the bottom left, at the bottom here, it's got a 1. So I know that 1 unit has been selected. So I'm just going to hit dispatch, and I can then see that a ladder platform, so a ladder truck, has been dispatched. So that's sorted. Now I haven't had to go and look down the list on the right hand side, going looking for that unit. I've just been able to deploy it like that. If the residential fire was just a new call, I'd be able to click my button that says residential fire and then just send it from there. So 2 ambulances calls, this is how quick it's going to be. So the call loads up, we hit 1 ambulance, tick, Go on to the next one. Not even looking to see what it's ticked. Just send it to the next one. Tick. Send. Done. So there's 2 missions there. I've just sent 2 ambulances. Quick as anything. Now obviously they're quite simple. That's simply how alarm and response regulations work. There's nothing more really too complex to them. Like I say, obviously you can then edit them and you can move the columns that they appear. It does work on the mobile. They just stack into less columns. Effectively, they stack down a bit more, but it's not too much of a problem. They fit quite nice. We're having the 4 set up because effectively what happens is the columns 3 and 4. Well, I've got 5 columns here, but effectively they sort of stack underneath each other quite tidily, so it's not a problem. It still looks okay. But that's effectively it. That's alarm and response regulations. That's how they work. It can make your life a lot easier when you're not too bothered as to what units you send. One of the things that I have at the moment, it's not set up to care about what fire station it is. So all units are available on my alarm and response regulations. But what I want to do is, with the new airport firefighting coming out, I'm going to have a Type 1 fire truck down at the airport, which is effectively down here at Lyd. It's this little brown building here. That's the fire station building, effectively. But what I don't want is that fire engine to deploy to alarm and response regulations. So what you can actually do is you can't ignore a single fire engine or whatever, but what you can do is you can set the fire station up. No, I'm confusing myself now. Stand by. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I went past it. You can exclude it in the alarm and response regulations, so basically it won't take that vehicle out. So that's okay, but the only problem you will have then is if you wanted to just have a button just for your airport firefighting, you won't be able to just set it up like that, if that makes sense. Because you won't, when you set up the button to say I want 1 fire engine from Leeds Airport's fire station to turn out, it's not going to work because you've completely blocked all of the alarm and response regulations. That's effectively it. I think I've covered everything. That it's not a complex feature at all. Once you've set up the buttons in your own order, then it's all good. I've set it up, I say the first lot with the 1 pump, 2 pump, 3 pump and whatever, and not had any issues there. And then not needed to change it. All I've done is just add to the ones at the bottom that expand into the specific missions. I don't have every mission there simply because some missions are really easy, so 1 pump, 2 pump, or 2 pump and a fire officer. I know what they are in my head. Obviously you can set them up if you want to, but I didn't want to have too many buttons because it does mean you might have to scroll on my phone. I might have to scroll to do some of them. So obviously if you've got any questions or requests as to what you want me to cover in future, do let me know, and I'll do my best to try and cover something. This is a request from Kieran to do something like this, so hopefully that's helped Kieran, and obviously anyone that's got any questions, feel free to send me a message, and if I don't answer you, then feel free to go and visit the forum for MissionChief. Just hit the forum button at the top right hand corner. Anyway everyone, take it easy. Thanks very much for watching. Good night.